For sale sign put out in August, on the 5th day of September, the Rockets are now off the market. Tillman Fertitta isn't missing out on his opportunity to buy the franchise a second time around. A purchase by the billion-dollar buyer didn't need any help from anyone else. As we welcome you into Game Time, three-time NBA champ Rick Box to join us shortly. I'm Jared Greenberg. Tillman Fertitta was a few million short on his bid to buy the Rockets back in '93. Tuesday, he reportedly agreed to pay Leslie Alexander $2.2 billion for the franchise. The sale is now pending approval by the NBA's Board of Governors. Let's bring in our Hall of Famer, David Aldridge, for more on this big story here. DA, Tillman Fertitta has a lot of money. We clearly know that. He's been very involved in his many business ventures, even one very good TV show, I might add. But any indication on what kind of owner he'll be, how hands-on he wants to be?
Well, look, I was told this afternoon you can expect Mark Cuban light, I think is a good way to put it with regards to Tillman Fertitta. As you mentioned, he's host of his own TV show like Mark Cuban. Maybe not quite as public with his opinions about things as Mark Cuban, but look, this is a guy that's had courtside seats at the Rockets for many years. He's very well known in Houston, big supporter of the University of Houston athletic programs. As you mentioned, tried to buy the Rockets a few years ago, had a minority stake in the Houston Texans of the NFL when they got off the ground. So he's very well versed in the Houston sports community, knows the Rockets, knows Leslie Alexander. That's why, Jared, this deal got done so quickly. These are two guys that know each other. And so this was a deal that once the team was put on the market, Tillman Fertitta was one of a handful of people that stepped to the plate. And at the end of the day, did he pay a little bit more than he might have otherwise to get this transaction done? Maybe. But he wanted to get this transaction done. And as we've talked about many times, the NBA likes one guy or one woman who can write a check, and this guy can do it.
Well, let's go there, because oftentimes other people and bigger groups complicate making a transaction like this possible. Let's dive into the significance of having a franchise that has one guy paying all the bills and also getting the ownership of the arena, too. How significant all of this is.
It's huge, Jared, and that's part of, again, why the deal got done so quickly, because Leslie Alexander owned all of that. It was his team, his building, his regional sports network, all of it. So there were no complications to this. It was a very clean deal. Somebody told me this afternoon, you could eat your plate off of the cleanliness of this deal. It's just easy. It was easy to do because Leslie Alexander, one guy, owned everything that Tillman Fertitta wanted, and they could come up with a price, and the price was agreed upon rather quickly. And again, maybe he paid a slight amount more than he would have, fair market value, probably. I mean, I'm no expert on this, but I've talked to people today, maybe a little less than $2 billion. But again, you want to get the deal done. This is what it's going to take, and that's what he did.
DA, Carmelo Anthony, believed by many still to only be willing to waive his no trade clause to go to the Rockets. Interesting story written by Ian Begley, who covers the Knicks for ESPN, earlier on Tuesday, talking about the Bucks' involvement, maybe being that third team to help facilitate a deal. He didn't say whether it was the Bucks who started this conversation, but throwing out Jabari Parker as a potential candidate to be involved in the trade.
Well, look, as far as I've been told this afternoon, there's nothing new with Carmelo in terms of the Knicks looking to trade him. I don't think that anything is imminent. I don't think that the Bucks are going to be involved if this deal gets done. I do think they do have to address their Jabari Parker situation. There's no question about that. Going forward, I don't know that they're going to be able to pay him what he probably expects to be paid. So it wouldn't surprise me if his name was out there. You heard that they may have been sniffing around trying to get involved in the Kyrie Irving trade talks before that deal with Boston went down. So Milwaukee understands a few things. Look, they have a lot of good young players, but they're not where they need to be to compete with Boston and Cleveland in the Eastern Conference. They need to upgrade a little bit. So they're looking to do that and trying to see, I think, what the value is for some of their good young players. So it doesn't surprise me that their names are out there, but right now there's nothing happening with that one.
Well, there's something happening with DA. The Morning Tip is back. Good to see it on Monday morning on NBA.com. David, we hope everybody checks it out and look forward to speaking to you as we get closer to the season.
Thanks, Jared. Appreciate it.
All right, that's David Aldridge. Let's bring in three-time NBA champ Rick Fox. Talk about a hot story that's happened throughout the course of the weekend through Labor Day. Cleveland Cavaliers acquired the Nets' first-round draft pick in 2018. Not sure what pick that will be, but would you consider giving that pick up at the cost of how you build your franchise beyond this season, not knowing what LeBron's status is to whether he leaves or stays? Would you be willing to try and get an all-star for that type of pick?
I would. I would personally right now at the state that the Cavs are in. They are winning at the highest level, or at least in the conversation for the last few years. They have the attention of LeBron James for who knows how much longer. But with that usually comes the supporting cast around him that keeps him, really interested in, staying in an organization, and that organization really obviously being his home state gives them an uptick in the sales department there going forward in free agency next year. But still, the exit of Kyrie Irving, the introduction of really some additions and pieces that make them deeper, I still think if that number one pick, you might be able to bring a star in there that would entice their chances of keeping LeBron, increase it, and maybe put them at a greater standing opposite the Western Standard elites.
Yeah, well, it's tough to pass up an opportunity to close the gap with the Warriors, which many believe the Cavs have not done. We'll see how this goes. So certainly the Cavs and LeBron guaranteed to be in the news every single day. We got plenty more to do here on this edition of Game Time. It is Hall of Fame week in the NBA, and coming up next on Game Time from the class of 2017, Bill Self joins us to discuss Larry Brown's influence on him. Casey Stern dropping the knowledge. Thanks to him for getting us up to speed on what is going to get underway Wednesday with a pair of win-or-go-home games. Top two seeds sitting down there in the semifinals just waiting. It's LA and Minnesota. Well, Sue Bird is a two-time WNBA champ, looking for a third. The future Hall of Famer with us now to get us set for the playoffs. Sue, but before we go there and find out your thoughts on these playoffs, let's discuss becoming the league's all-time leader in assists and the crazy week you've had with all the honors and still trying to win games.
I definitely can't complain. It's been an eventful week, a full week, but like I said, it's been fun as well. Being the all-time assist leader is definitely something I think I'll look back on, when it's all said and done and I'm done playing, and I'll be really proud of. But I obviously couldn't have done it. Literally, could not have done it without my teammates. So, got to give them a lot of credit too.
So it's an interesting stance that you've taken here to stay with Seattle, going through some rough times and understanding that they're building. And if you could explain to everybody why it is that you didn't elect to try and go elsewhere and try and win another title with another team, and rather stay at home in Seattle and try and win there.
Right. There was many sides to it, and some, my perfect world, I think when I first entered the WNBA, was to always stay with the same franchise. So that was kind of a little bit of a goal. But when it came down to it, obviously, we've gone through a rebuild starting a couple years ago, and there was a question mark. Do I want this to be how I finish my basketball career, never making the playoffs and that kind of thing? But the combination of always wanting to be in Seattle and then, of course, getting back-to-back number one picks, it made it easy to make the decision. Once we drafted Jewel and then Stewie the year after, I kind of realized there was a nucleus here that could do something special. And, we've made the playoffs now for the second year in a row. Last year is the 7th seed. This year is the 8th. We'd love to be higher because, as you just heard on all that playoff format, it definitely pays to be higher. But, the single elimination also gives us a chance. So now that we're back in the playoffs, Seattle Storm, like I said, is just looking to get better and better every year.
We'll see you're back in the playoffs. Congratulations on the individual accolade of the assist leadership title. But the last we saw each other, we were on a panel on health and wellness and fitness and
Yeah.
keeping our bodies intact for moments like this. I have to think in staying in Seattle and being a part of this franchise going forward, the challenge ahead is still to win a championship. The new format has been laid out at the start of this interview here. But is this why you play? Is this why you continue to play year in and year out?
Absolutely. There's no better feeling than winning. As you know, as many know, it's why you play. It's why you keep coming back. No matter how hard it is, no matter how many times you might fall short or be disappointed. If you've ever tasted it, it's addicting, and you just want to do it again. And now that I'm older, I also want to help kind of, make sure that the franchise, once I do retire, is left in good hands, and kind of help these younger players understand what it takes and what it means to be a champion in this league. Because this league is no joke. It's really, really hard. It's competitive. I always say it's 12 teams, 12 roster spots on each. It's literally the definition of survival of the fittest. There is no weak player, weak team. Obviously, some teams do better than others each year, but every single game is tough. So I just want to help leave that legacy and make sure the franchise is in good hands.
Well, Sue, thanks for joining us, and good luck in the playoffs, and congratulations on becoming the WNBA's all-time leader in assists. You can catch the WNBA playoffs beginning Wednesday on ESPN2. Sue Storm and will take on the Mercury at 10 p.m. Eastern, the first game of the night with the Wings and Mystics. Plenty more to do here on this edition of Game Time. Take you at the buzzer. And, Kyrie Irving didn't need to leave Cleveland to be the leading man. Kyrie and a few familiar names with unfamiliar looks filming Uncle Drew the movie. A lot of people we know there, right? Shaq, Chris Webber,
Reggie, Lisa Leslie.
Yeah. Weird though. You're the movie star of all these guys. How come you weren't in this one?
Oh, Greenleaf. Tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Own. Watch it.
Do you get paid to promote
Yes.
that? Do I get a cut of that?
Side promotion.
What are you looking for tonight?
Well, I expect a more relaxed Dallas team. They play very tense and tight.